T-shirts. Hello. Is this thing on? Is this? I never know if this is. I never know if this thing's on. Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Check it out. This is a cool shirt, and more importantly, I'm not wearing any pants. Shaz, he's not wearing any pants. Underwear Shaz, because I'm doing laundry right now. When I first started these videos, I was concerned that people would be able to notice. Oh yeah, the shirt though. The shirt's very cool. That I wasn't wearing pants. And now by the last videos, I don't care if people notice if I'm wearing pants or not. Growth. Growth is possible. Soon you too can not care if people know if you're wearing pants or not. And in the end of the day, isn't that the goal that everyone wants in their life? The confidence of not caring whether people know if you have pants on or not. That's as simple as it gets, really. King of Carmine. We're just going to finish up the last couple scraps of Untitled. And then we'll get back to, I forgot, because it's been a week. I forgot what we were talking about in my New York adventures. I'm going to have to contextualize all the documents I've ignored while I try to brainstorm. And I actually wrote it down. I wrote down some notes. They're not the fucking best notes, but they're notes. That's chicken scratch. But there's 11 apartments, 4 hostels, 1 official girlfriend, a couple less than casual encounters. And and I have it blocked out by year. So these notes, I try not to plan these videos out, but I kept circling around the drain of, not circling around the drain, but the girlfriend I had in New York for the most part. There's a lot of emotions. Some of those are still being processed. We're still barely talking. So I kept seeming to come back to her. And I thought maybe I should get a little bit of structure to try to get the narrative back on the linear track. Catch up. These are my last couple videos. I got 5 more to do, and I'm done. I'm going to read this one text message if you don't mind. If you just pay attention to the fingers for a little bit, and I'll be right back with you. Look at fingers. Look at fingers. Alright. So, my friend just broke up with her boyfriend on Christmas Day. Not a good look. Come on, dudes. Come on. I told my other friend, I was like, I never like any of my friends' boyfriends. I try not to judge. I try not to be judgmental. But this one girl, I told her, look, break up with your dude October. Because first of all, October is a great time to be single. Beginning of October, and then you have the whole month of Halloween parties. Great places to meet people. I met Pooks at around Halloween. It's active. Don't break up with people around the holidays because it's the time people are most suicidal. And then once you miss that holiday window, you got Valentine's Day. And it's cold weather. People don't like being single. That's cuddle time anyways. So then you have Valentine's Day, and then you have the spring. It's fucks up the whole rotation. It's either if you don't break up with someone by October, you're stuck until at least March or April. And anyways, so he broke up with her on Christmas. I don't know. They've been on again, off again though. This is the latest, but it sounds like she's done. I was trying to give her some advice from the book I read, The Art of Love. I was like, well, maybe his mother gave him the milk and not the honey, and blah blah blah. Eric Fromm had some good shit to say and some silly shit. The King of Carmine. Yours truly, the King of Carmine. Of women born when Caesar died, when clowns would dare to crucify their king. From king's quarters this I write. News the latest regicide will bring. So bring me fortune, bring me fame, and I will bring to you their names in verse. Versions known and unknown shared. If I err, tell me but where at first. I, the first man, first to speak, the barbarous as well as Greek of tongue, have sung into belief this bond to bind the men that dare be strong. For our woman, of women born when Caesar died, the Ides of March are prophesied. Again, Stercos mandico vigalas cresco. Some cold ass shit to say. Feed me shit. Watch me grow like the mushroom man that I am. Signature. An earned calm. I think I know how to filter out the pollution of objectification from our stories and free ourselves from the bonds of capital, inspire people to take control of their own identities and therefore their actions. It starts with making a stand, though. Go to one place, one geographic or virtual location, but if it's virtual, you'll need to verify who you are talking to. Hell, might as well do that in person as well. And then we can start figuring out real solutions to our actual problems. Dare the authorities to hit you on the chin. They will, baring their teeth as they go down, screaming like animals as we reclaim the dignity of man. On my way out through the gates of empire, past that moat that encloses liberty, let me leave you one last thought. This world might claim an animal spirit, but we will always have dominion over the animal world. Just don't let them take away your boys. And I linked like a link. I saw something on Reddit. Some jackals bit this ox's balls. He ate the balls off the ox, and the ox fell down. He didn't even move. It's just like no reason to live without your balls. Deceit, which might point if the history of the world is oppression of power over subjugating far larger numbers of people, one of the tricks might be to emasculate the males. Deceit is how we carved out security within the wild. If the animal spirit is in constant need to survive, deceit is how one earns the space to think. A tool is a form of deceit by misrepresenting ability, transforming it into greater efficiency. Fiction is a form of deceit. Capitalism is a deceitful tool. If animals are born with a capacity to fully integrate themselves with their environments, our ability to introduce new concepts into reality will always give us an advantage. Asymmetrical information, the original sin for which we were banished from the garden, the discovery of deceit. The tiger is more profitable in the circus than in the soup. A lot of people with the role of instructor in our society. Here, let me explain these. So I was like, I think I should run for president. I'm writing all this shit. I was like, all right, I'll write an autobiography, at least enough to get a book proposal to sell it. I've lived enough shit. This real estate shit. The last couple clients, I was like, I'm just not in it anymore. I'm not willing to go through another winter cycle. I'm like, I'm done. I have my king's quarters, which is why I wrote that king's quarters. It's like, I had the fucking ego. I got money, I got girls, not all the money and not all the girls, but enough to be like, all right, I'm not bad at this. I'm not the best person in the world, but I'm earning top 95th percentile now, and probably dating equally that. Some beautiful, attractive, charismatic women that a lot of people seem to like, that I get from among a lot of competitors. The same thing with the business. I'm going in like a sniper and getting some decent business. So I'm like, all right, I've honed my skill set in different aspects of life, rounded out my blind spots. I have the confidence to fucking do a grand project like this, running for president, at the very least start a political party, or at the very least actually just provide some entertainment in the news other than the fucking bullshit, hypocrisy, cynicism. It always breaks my heart every fucking election cycle. We have to hear this shit for 2 years. Everyone just lying and fucking being, it's just so sad and emotional triggering, and it's only going to get worse. And so I'm like, all right, this will at least be something different, colorful. I was like, what are my skill sets? Well, I have the character I've developed all my life. But then I was like, I also have this mind that seems to be decent at coming up with a marketing idea. So I sat down during the winter. I was going to write my book on Manhattan. I was going to, because I've been missing, if I actually didn't do as many drugs or have as many adventures, I would have been much further along in my real estate business. It's only 2 years since I incorporated, but I've been living life. I've been enjoying as much as I've been earning. But there's a lot of backlog projects I could have been doing. I know so much about Manhattan now and the prices and the markets and the co-op and condo rentals, and I'm getting into sales that, like, all right, I think I could put enough into a book. There's not that many good books that summarize our process. If you want to get better in your industry, become an expert, start being referred to as an expert. So if I write a book, I can start giving it to my clients, building up my reputation as an expert in the real estate industry, at least in rentals, and grow from there. There's a lot of rental agents, not many who actually stay in it as an expert, because a lot of them graduate to sales. So I was going to own the rental field and then grow from there. And Rent for Less NYC was my rental brand. And then and that was the DBA. It's 500 RE, doing business as Rent for Less NYC. So now I can do the Banana Republic route. Or what is it? Is it Banana Republic? Which one is it? Whatever the fucking main company is. They have a Banana Republic, and then Old Navy, and then, is it Gap? I think it's Gap. But they're all the three the same companies. So yeah, but they have a different brand for a different segment of the market. And I always thought it was silly. You're selling this $2,000 fucking studio and this $2 million fucking, or $20 million penthouse under the same brand. Those are different. Sometimes they're similar clients. This one's daughter or son, but sometimes they're different. I'm renting a $2,600 apartment. I'm far from being able to afford that $26 million penthouse. So that was one of my marketing ideas. I was going to come in and differentiate the market according to and that's why Rent for Less NYC has the colorful 6 colors like this. All of this fucking old marketing shit is cool to me. The old California surfer hippie vibe. I was going to use those colors. I found the color scheme off of some. It's a NBC Peacock logo, or yeah, I think that's NBC. But it's also Sesame Street-ish. It's also a color scheme of, like, I think it's Missouri or somewhere in the Midwest. Their bus system is where I officially got it. But those colors are interesting, and they're throwback colors, kind of faded, muted colors. And then also the segmentation. So then I thought, all right, I'm going to go do this presidential shit. I'm going to throw my character behind it, my politics behind it, my experience behind it, but also this marketing brain I have. So I thought that'll be cool. Instead of just like Obama, he won the marketing award for his Hope campaign and this and that. I was like, all right, I think I'm smarter than that guy. He's a bit of a douche if you scratch below the surface. So I was like, all right, I'll throw a color scheme behind it, and I'll throw some other shit behind it. But it was the reason why I did that color scheme too is when I'm doing real estate and when I incorporated, I would teach myself as I go. No one's teaching me. I'm learning by experience. So every client is another iteration of my process to make it better. So I talk to them about it too. Eventually I break down the whole rental process into 6 steps, color coordinating it with my marketing campaign. It's why not, if I'm going to grow a culture in a company, get it as tight as possible. The Airbnb guys say that they wrote out the entire Airbnb experience from the first contact to leaving someone's Airbnb as like a storyboard of your user experience. These internet startup guys think that they're reinventing the wheel. This is just business 101. If you see how Walt Disney organized his company, he had an aesthetically pleasing workflow diagram with himself at the center, and then all the different productions and departments around him. Good managerial ethos combined with good aesthetic ability create some really cool shit. You can design systems which both are aesthetically pleasing and also function really well, that's what aesthetics is. It's truth and beauty and truth, they're the same thing. So if it looks, it's not always true that if it looks good, it is good, but it's pleasing and calming when you have a system that both works and is pleasant on the eye or pleasant to interact with. So, and then also for me, like if I'm going to do business, I'm going to not be bored, and so it made me feel better to have something colorful to look at every day. If I'm working like 12, 16 hours a day from when I wake up to when I go to sleep sometimes, I'm at least looking at colors. I'm at least doing something that is visually engaging my artistic side. So my emails I broke down into fucking all the different colors too. So when I pull up my first contacts, those are in the first 2 colors. And then my marketing is in the second 2 colors, or my servicing clients. Well, it goes, what was it? Purple and blue were the first contact and qualification. So first contact was purple, and then first contact was blue. So people are blue, and then if they go gray if they're dead to me. And then purple means that we're actually trying to qualify them. Orange means that we are in the process of shopping them. So these are people who are qualified, who we now have a relationship with. We're taking them out. Orange means I've sent them a market analysis, and they've responded. Red means we've taken them out in person. We're actually shopping them. And then this also corresponds with our biases. Reds are the ones in a normal system you'd be trying to close. In normal, like when I've worked other sales jobs, you highlight with red, or with yellow you highlight, but red is a grab at your attention. So that's where the money is. And blue is naturally a cool color. So blue is like, we're not even sure if these guys are worth our time. Then they escalate to purple. We've qualified them. Now we just have to wait for them to respond to our market analysis. And I'm creating 6 gates within my sales process. Because if people don't pass to the next gate, you don't jump at them. And so you understand when to put the effort. I could look at 50, not 50, but like 20 leads over like a day or two and try to figure out, all right, where should my effort go? Well, if I have a bunch of red, I'm not going to worry about the blues and the purples, because the reds are the ones that have made it through 4 steps of my sales process, and they've responded every time. The blue becomes a purple when we've actually had a qualification conversation and I fleshed out any possible objections and I've gotten 2 agreements. I'm going to be your broker and you are going to pay me once I complete the service for you. So you have no objections with paying a broker. You're not one of these ideological, I don't want to pay a broker because it would hurt my soul. And you are not going to shop me around, just use me for my knowledge and my resource and waste my time and then fucking go with next Joe guy or whatever. I have the same apartments anyone else does. I can show you the whole market. You just have to be bought into the process. If you want your problem solved efficiently and quickly, I'm your guy. If you want to just get information for free, I'm not your guy. We're both going to get on the same page. Some people lied to me and I didn't figure it out until later. When I got back into the business this year, I tried it like October, or maybe October. Maybe I took out 2 clients. I was so rusty. Both people said I thought we had the agreements, and then at the end they didn't go with me, and I was like, yeah, I'm not in it anymore. That's how close you have to be. You have to be like, I was good. You have to make those judgments at every step of the way to keep the client within the sales pipeline. That's why you have to live and breathe, and you just, in an industry like that, the margin is so close either way. If you take out the wrong clients, you bet on the wrong hand. You've wasted your time and your opportunity and your window to close business. And that's how I earn so much, is I segmented it so in every one of the 6 steps, I'm solving a different problem, and my entire focus is like, if it's a blue to purple, I'm really just trying to have a really good qualification problem. We're not, and when the people try to jump to the very end, I want to see apartments, this and that, it's like, let's make sure. And then I have all these little catchphrases which help you in sales cycles to fall back on the logic of your system. Stress comes from surprises. Let's make sure we're on the same page before we decide to invest more time in each other. And that's how you walk your way towards an ethical sale, is that I'm not doing anything unethically. I am just framing and taking control of this relationship as the expert. And if I don't do that, then what value am I to you? Then I haven't really earned my commission. You're not the expert. You've come to me for help to solve a problem. And if you haven't, then we could stop the conversation right here, because those are the types of clients I look for, and those are the ones who are out there. And once you find them out there, that's what reaffirms. Some people work years in real estate never really realizing that you earn your fee. You don't trick your clients out of it. But you need clients to actually pay you and be willing to pay you and be grateful that they found you because you helped them out so much. And those validate, oh, I'm helping people. I told Shaw once that she was getting stressed out in her business because she had a bunch of, it felt like she was fucking wrestling with the clients for money and this and that. And you just feel kind of dirty sometimes when you're fighting too hard for it. You're not finding your right type of clients. And if you can't find those types of clients, maybe the industry is being reformed. And that's what I'm wondering about. It's hard for me to be objective when I was in it, but I was like, are we editing out brokers from the Manhattan rental market? I don't think so, because I don't think landlords are going to want to rent their own apartments, and I don't think the public is responsible enough to do the work that a broker does, because the public doesn't realize how much we do. Keep control over access, qualify the clients in such a way in order to limit the risk to the landlord. That's brokers enter a market in order to connect parties that otherwise would take advantage of each other. So you had brokering in the Mediterranean during the times of the city-states. Brokers provide a peacekeeping referee type service in these markets, which are usually it's because of quickness and because of the tightness of the market. And when the market loosens up, maybe you don't need brokers as much because it's slow enough for the parties to go check each other and do their due diligence. But in Manhattan, my guess is that you'll always need brokers because of the concentration of people until the market gets over maybe 5%. You have to know this because when I was planning my business, I wanted to know if possibly brokers are being edited out of it. I didn't think so. We already have problems with brokers taking showers in apartments, fucking clients in apartments, and we are licensed and regulated by the state, and the state could come down and fucking, we have a watchdog organization that's checking for bad brokers. So that's 30,000 brokers, and there's still a good handful that we hear these crazy stories. If you open it up to the whole market, how would you get access? You would, instead of brokers, you would have access people. You would and that's what brokers function as. And then and that's what some of these internet companies come into an industry saying we're going to revolutionize the industry. But it's talk and not all action. Because then they say we don't have brokers, but instead they have access people. We don't have brokers, but they have qualification people. So you don't have brokers, but you have 5 different people all doing the different jobs that brokers were doing. Which one's more efficient? It's like Uber. Oh, we could revolutionize the cab industry. You have cabs. They're just Ubers are functioning as cabbies with less rights and less, and that's why cities are starting to regulate them as cabbies and saying you have a minimum standard. You can't just come into an industry with something that looks like the old, only with less regulation in order to undercut the competition. That's not revolutionizing an industry. That's subverting the regulations in an industry which are there for the protection of the workers. So there's some fucking internet speak, tech speak, which aren't necessarily innovations, just subversion of regulations to race to the bottom. And that's GE, I think, what was the quote by that guy? He said the perfect company would be one based off of a ship going from port to port seeking the greatest efficiency and the least regulations. That's a capitalist wet dream, is racing to the bottom in terms of labor rights and regulations over environmental standards and basically doing whatever they can. The ultimate capitalist enterprise is what happened in the Belgian Congo, where you import bullets in order to subjugate the native population and you export natural resources. That's all they did. They imported tools of violence and they exported the wealth. And you killed over 10 million people doing that, twice as many people as the Holocaust. That's not part of our historic record because we're not recognizing these trends. Instead, we're looking at Nazi, Jew, American, war's good, this and that. We look at all the fucking narratives that don't matter while we're caught up in patterns that do matter and govern all of our lives, which is basically power concentration and wealth accumulation. And anyway, so coffee, the source of most rants. So taking that color scheme in my business, I applied it to the I was like, all right, so let's use this for fucking sorting out my head then and running for president. So marketing wise, I like that. It's got legs. It's got legs, kid. The color scheme's got legs. I like it. We're going to use it for the presidential campaign. Then I was like, all right, I'm also going to use it to close out this writing. So then I was like, that's why in one of these videos, I'm like, how do I apply it to fucking my theory of consciousness? Because I'm into this thing of like emotions and reason and different parts of your brain. And so I was taking my life wisdom that I've learned and applying it to the colors. And so as I started writing this, I was like, all right, I'll just make each color less and less words because we're walking away from the rational more to the intuitive wisdom. And so that's what the blue one was, the first one. And that's just when I describe the wild. So the blue will be just the state of animalistic whatever. And then the purple one is how we got out of that, the tools. And then this has some cool metaphors. Fiction's a form of deceit. Capitalism's a deceitful tool. These are all just because I'm looking at my own life too. How did I get to this point in my life? I got into real estate, walking the streets of New York, sleeping in Central Park, staying in these hostels. And I was like, all right, I escaped. I gave myself some breathing room. I kept telling myself, I know I'm going to really kill it in real estate once I get an apartment and some space to actually... I got the girlfriend and I would date and do a lot of drugs and other shit, but I did that after work or when I had downtime. I never did it until the end when I was just like, it was on autopilot and then I could fucking literally just stay high all day. I would smoke a joint right before I went out with a client because everything was so fucking automated. And that's why I told someone once, I was like, I'm just troubleshooting for fucking having employees. If I could do my job stoned, I should be able to get a newbie to fucking be able to onboard. And then I tried that one summer. I had a guy doing it, but like I had him doing the things that I would do, but I would be fucking high on my mind doing them. But I was like, it's color coded. It's idiot proof. It's like, where are our clients? All right, we have a bunch of blue. We should never have a bunch of blue. We need to get those guys purple. We need to get them the fuck out of our system. We need to qualify these people. Now we have a bunch of purple, which means that we're waiting for market analyses. So did we send them too many apartments? Why aren't they responding to us? Now we have a bunch of orange, which means we have a bunch of appointments to take people out to show them apartments. That's exactly where we want to be. That's all. Because once they're orange, I know I'm going to close 30 to 50% of them. Everyone I take out in person, and sometimes I'll go on the months that I did like close to 20, or the month I did over 20, that's when I close 5, 7 in a row. And then you regress to the mean. And then when you have that slump, you're like, all right, I know I'm going to get one, but we're just going back to the average. But the average over time is like, a good month would be half of the guys I take out. But if I close a bunch in a row, I know that I'm just going to, even if it's, I could still, even if I close like 5 in a row, the reason why I'm going to get a bunch not in a row is because I'm going to get a little greedy, a little cocky. I'm going to probably take out some people that I shouldn't be taking out. But I'm like, fuck it. And that's why I learned also just to take the time. When you get on a nice streak, sometimes you're just like, I'm just checking out. I'm good. I did 5 in a row. I'm good for this month. Fucking, because I know that like there's just some shitty ass clients that are going to fucking come out. Now, I happen to pick the right ones, the ones who really needed the service, who liked it. And then so after the red is the one where we're shopping, we're trying to get that money. And then the yellow is the one with the lease signing. So that's the second to last one. And then so that's just like documents. There's enough like preparation and paperwork. You want to really make sure that's a separate step, because sometimes the documents aren't what they said they were. Wire transfers, international wire transfers. I've had like $30,000-$50,000 coming in from China. You learn every time that you fuck something up. All right, don't do that next time. Don't promise people the money's going to be ready tomorrow if it's an international transfer. Do 5 business days. It might be 3 business days, but sometimes it takes a while. We never know why these things are. Sometimes when someone wires me money, it's the same day or a couple hours. Sometimes it takes a day. Usually it's a couple hours. Usually it's same day. But a couple of these wire transfers were delayed. You learn to make sure you get proof of them being sent. Stuff like that. Just cover your ass business stuff that once you deal with paperwork snafus, you're just like, all right, better practices. Don't do this in the future. Just the reason why we do wires to begin with. Don't send me a check. Why would I have another way which this could get fucked up? Initiate a wire transfer. It costs a couple bucks. I'll reimburse you. Just take it off the fee and send me proof that you sent it. So that way now I can deal with the bank and I don't have to deal with your dumbass. Minimize the possibility of people lying to you. Stuff like that. Good business practices. And then green, the last one, was just service. Put people in your pipeline to keep contacting them to get the renewal. If I was a responsible business owner, I would be every 3 months contacting them, sending them cards. That's how you grow a real estate business. You have hundreds of transactions. Some of these people are going to purchase. And that's why I saw in 2018, I saw at the end of 2017, for the winter, I thought, all right, maybe my winter project will be to knock out this Manhattan book, Renting in Manhattan Guide. And I thought, all right, I'm going to probably, let me set my goal for 2018. I think I can actually hit $1 million in revenue. Let me start for the first time marketing to my 15,000 contacts and hundreds of clients over my 5 years doing business. And I had all my metrics down and everything like that. And I'd spoken to the president of Keller Williams, other agencies who let me, in our discussions, they educated me on their insights and their metrics they use to grow their businesses and their percentages. They figure, all right, how many of your rental clients end up being purchasers, this or that. I think they're way overly optimistic, but still, even if you cut their numbers in half, I had a very nice database to market to and a nice brand, a good relationship, a good ethics of doing business for these last 5-6 years, that I felt, all right, I could get at least a couple sales this next year just marketing to the relationships I've cultivated so far. And then I was going to do the book idea as well, the Renting in Manhattan, start branding myself as an expert, trying to get media as myself referenced as an expert. And then I was like, I'm going to write, my first book's going to be about real estate. And that's what really kind of like, I guess, tore up my soul. It was just like, all my life I wanted to write, and the first book I'm going to write is going to be I just saw the paths narrowing. I was like, this is how they get you. This is how you get yourself. You have a dream and you keep pushing off your dream until you're 50 or you're 60, and then you're like, well, I had that. And then you're that dude who fucking has a band when he's 60, but at least he's playing with his friends. It's like, no, I still got youth in me. I'm 36, I'm 35 at the time. I told myself I was going to come out with a philosophy by my 35th year, because that's your 420th month. It's pretty cool. 35 times 12 is 420. I was like, I want to have a philosophy at least, and that's what this was. It's an attempt at a philosophy and words within my 35th year. It was supposed to be by my 35th birthday, and then I pushed it back. I was like, all right, by my 35th year. So I was like, what do I believe? And then so I layered it on this color system. If it's good enough for real estate, it's good enough for other shit. A tool is a tool. When I was in high school, I would think, what would I do if my friends, I didn't have many friends, close friends, but I was like, what would I do if I couldn't talk with my friends anymore, if my friends were gone? What would I do if I was in a cage in jail reading about like Malcolm X or other people who've been through shit in their life? Like, do I have the mental fortitude? Then I learned about Genghis Khan, and he was locked up in a cage for most of his adolescence as a prisoner of war, pretty much. It's like some of us, our mind, we just, as long as, even if I didn't have a piece of paper, I'd be creating stuff, creating systems, improving my character. My mind just can't help but categorize the world into order, systems, apply order to, like, even my apartment, just little stuff arranging. There's an anal retentive way to do it, but like, I give up the apartment. I also allow a lot of chaos into my life, but some of us, I think, are the organizers and the writers, the writing mind. What is that? But going over your words and organizing them until they actually make sense. So this is a tool for organizing. I don't know why, but the noise behind me is starting to bug me. But that's okay, because I'm outgrowing this. I'm almost done, and I'm trying not to be irritable towards my parents, but I'm almost done with this point in my life. And so I can sort of feel myself outgrowing this fucking cage. My energy, confidence, my whole fucking, when I first started this, I was like Shaz off the street, and then now I'm just coming out and out and out. My energy's coming out and bigger as I go to prepare to do the next step, which is going to require a push of energy. So I'm kind of like, that's what the whole working out was, 5-6 weeks of just pushing my energy out and out. We're ready to fucking do some 2019 type shit, but we still have a couple years. So let me read the rest of this. I just wanted to give some context. That's what, so I'm writing according to those colors, and we're going to go into a different phase every time we switch up the color. You don't see the colors on this one, but if you look at the original one, which takes a while to load, these were overlaid with colors. So I said the animal, the deceit is the purple. So in the one about my philosophy about life, yeah, blue as the wild. And then also this helps me have peace with different gears in my life that I've had to use. Am I a pacifist? Am I a pragmatist? Would I justify violence? Would I justify making money? Because I do believe that that's a drive. The ego drive is not. So then I have this gear idea. Well, these are just different phases depending on the context, which is what I've also learned from the people whose character I respect. Ralph Waldo Emerson said himself, when people asked him, what, are you a pacifist to the point that you wouldn't defend yourself? You would apply it to every context. And he said it would be foolish to predict what I would do in a certain context that I have no idea what I would do in that situation. But he defends elevating pacifism and questioning the need for war and violence, but it wouldn't be rational to commit yourself to an action before the fact. So with me, myself too, it's the only way you can live free is to have no fear, but that means you have to be kind of confident in your ability. So if it's like with the dogs in Puerto Rico, I don't fucking talk to dogs who are angry with me. I say, fucking, we could get down like that dog. I'm a bigger fucking animal than you. If you want to be animalistic, then fucking, and then if like you have a bigger animal, if there's a bigger animal than you out there, what do? Well, now you switch into the next gear. Deceit. Well, I'm a smarter animal than you. It's a lesson in life. Don't pick fights with people who are smarter than you. Like don't pick fights with people who are bigger than you. But then there's other dangers too. You piss off some fucking nerd who gets a grudge, some shit. I don't know. I'm fucking coming up with hypotheticals. But that's, I feel, how we created space, animal world. That's how I created space in my real estate world. By my tools and my systems, which started getting me more money, buying me more time to do what? Step into the red. So that's where we're in the red now. A lot of people with the role of instructor in our society, I was thinking about Joe Rogan when I wrote this, formal or otherwise, claim that there is nothing true worth seeking. This is a convenient thing to say when you have nothing worth sharing. How can anyone be exposed as a fraud when there aren't any standards? Very clever. So they do their best to convince you that life is only about play. That's as high as the elevator goes. They encourage you to be a slave to your senses, usually in a way profitable to them. On it! And fuck it, what are the other things he sells? He started by fucking selling pocket pussies. I don't know how anyone took that guy seriously. While they themselves become captives to their own will to power and lust for recognition, lack of love. In this way, their demons become our own. So that was the red. It's like, the play is great, but don't worship the play. Once you have enough space out of the animal world, through your cunning and your tricks and your traps, your fish that you're catching in the river, and your fucking whatever skill set you've developed in life. Now you can enjoy the fruits of your labor for a while. So great, play. Fucking, I got a girlfriend. Do the fucking, well, drugs would be something later. But like, just enjoy yourself and play. That's what children, since they don't deal with the animal world, and this is just Shaz's philosophy from what he's gathered in life and how it works. Children are so protected that they can just be in that state of play. They don't have to. They're still learning how to be cunning, and they don't have to worry about danger because they're supposed to be protected. So they start actually in the play part. And then now this is the competition part, the ego part, which I included because I find in my life, even when I've been on the highest political fucking track or like artistic track, when I went to Mexico and I was riding on my uncle's roof in a tent, that's as romantic, idealistic as you can, writing my Mexican poetry and fucking novels and reading my Pablo Neruda by candlelight and smoking out of a fucking, it wasn't a corncob pipe then, that was just a normal pipe. Fucking Southern California and their fucking cheap ass muffler fucking exhaust. So I noticed that there is a desire to create something in life. Other psychologists have, I'm not a psychologist, but psychologists have, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs and stuff, they've acknowledged that we have a desire to be productive, to have a trade. So that's why I put in the orange, is the ego battling of like being good at something. The purple is the cunning just to escape the wild. But then the orange is the entrepreneurial spirit. And that's what the pride that I got doing real estate is. I got a real sense of pride and fulfillment. I feel like my skill set is better used elsewhere. But I have social media ambitions, startup ambitions. Business will always be a part of my life because I feel like it's a natural expression, an actualization of my being. The communist, strict socialist, communitarian types might not acknowledge that, and that might be an issue. That be careful. That's what this dude told me once. Like, you have a lot of opinions about society, but don't try to, it's a ship, steer it gently. Don't try to just do a U-turn. Some of this stuff is developed for a reason. So I respect commerce and the instinct and desire to trade, because I think I've seen that in my life too. If I'm just being honest with myself, at times when I was the most purely artistic, I still had this urge and impulse, and people can say that's an infection of capitalism or the current society, but I don't think so. I think just we want to build stuff. We're humans. We're like with that Fraggle Rock fucking show, those little guys who are just building. We just like to fucking, I felt it. I've been very at peace, and yet my mind still wants to fucking create. It's not even an accumulative, we only want to accumulate, although that's a vice and everything. Or maybe not a vice, just maybe we're just like ravens, we like baubles and shit, but. So this says, so this is an orange part of our nature. So we worship a pageant of animal lies. Boys joust will and willy between the world's thighs, claiming all that they need can be held as their prize. As our world slowly dies, women still cry, why do we still not open our hearts? So that's the idea that like, now I'm becoming less on the nose too, and I'm becoming more abstract. So after you play, if you're in a business and you're making good money, working for other people, then you're fucking blowing it, or not blowing it, but you're balling out, making good money for the first time in your life. You're doing that red. And that's why when you like watch Joe Rogan and other stuff, they're just like, they're more about enjoying life and a little bit about meaning. But that's what he says to his audience. What he's doing himself is he's in that orange. He's jousting Will and Willie. He's trying to grow his nut, trying to grow his business. And everything he does is with a profit motive, really. And then he sprinkles a little bit of light societal good in there, but it doesn't stick his neck out for anyone really, except for a small circle. That's what, I don't know. I can't really speak on man. I don't know his character. I only know what I see, but that's what inspired me to do this. Was like, we need more leadership. We need more elevation of consciousness. But I'm trying to relate it in my own framework. That, well, how have I lived? So I noticed that, all right, when I first made the real estate money, I was like, yeah, this is fucking good, and I defined myself by what I was making. But in order to really grow the business, I had to grow it for the sake of growing the business. And that's what people learn who have a business is. The money's interesting, but you have to be into growing something, because the money will come and go. And your clients will notice if you're just taking them out for the money. We have this instinctual bullshit detector just as human beings. But when I would lead with the, like especially with entrepreneurs or people who are very successful in business, we get along great. Because I would just have a passion for my business, and I'd talk about my business and my system, and they talk about theirs, and it's a pride in seeing something well run, which is infectious. which is a lot. It lasts a lot longer than the money pride. The money, once you, that's why when you play, it's great, but once you get older, you realize that you want to grow something, be a part of something, have a purpose, and that's that orange part of the personality. Now, the yellow I put as a humility above the orange because each one is supposed to be a corrective over the last. So if I go to the blue, the animal kingdom, where we're all fighting and fucking scraping for survival, well, then the deceit, our tools, the asymmetrical information, lying, the fucking anything you create that you add to nature. If you think about these other, I think chimps have entered the Stone Age, but other than that, man improves upon nature, and we have to be careful because it's not always an improvement, it's just an adjustment. Sometimes the simplest systems are better, but that's how we create the space, is we can live alongside the animals doing the animalistic shit, but because of our invention and progress of technology, we're able to be more efficient, buy back more of our time, even if it's just efficiency earned by social organization and division of labor. The laundry's going and it's pretty loud right now. But so the purple, the tools that we create, buy us time out of them, animal kingdom. But then the play, the red that we create, this is a world according to Shaz, me taking my real estate philosophy and applying it now to my life as I, like my armor, before I do this presidential run, I'm like, let me put on these fucking, it worked in real estate, I invent systems, let me fucking, and I have this video I recorded where I actually start this, where I'm like, how the fuck am I going to do this? And so this is what I've developed so far over this year. But I had most of the basics down by the time I wrote this, as I was writing it. So the red corrects the purple in the sense that the tools, you fall in love with the tools, and now you're just that pure efficiency, fucking all about just getting more and more efficiency over nature, which is exhausting and corrosive. So the play allows you to back out of that. Like, it's more important, once you have the space to be comfortable, enjoy yourself. Have joy in your life. That's what it is. I also, in the Shaz Barbaric in my website, I want to apply it to this. Have these 6 different gears and phases. So that way when I'm doing this presidential run, I'm also living by my philosophy. Because I have this theory that unity of thought, word, action leads to the most efficient way of living. So if I unify myself according to the philosophy, and the fact that I just made it up according to my own experiences in life, also helps me show that these are just tools, which is a part of that anarchist Zen irreverence. Don't worship hierarchies, don't worship the past, learn from it. Learn from everything that came before. But there's no such thing as really justified authority unless it's effective. And if you could probably, creativity, we can all recreate the world, we can all recreate humanity from within ourselves. That's what gives you the confidence to escape subjugation. If you feel like your happiness and your wisdom depends on exterior things, then you'll always be dependent on other people for your happiness and other people for guidance. But the theory of the true anti-authoritarian doctrines, which is a contradiction in term, the theory of the concept of anti-authoritarianism is that you don't need authority because all the happiness is within, all wisdom is within. All you gotta do is calm down and quiet down. And then the answers will come and the happiness will come. You got to just get rid of the impediments. Get rid of the blockages. You don't have to add anything. It's a simple, that's like the permaculture type. This is like an ethic that I'm trying to live. And so that means that if I could go out there and learn, and that's what I'm doing. I'm trying not to reinvent the wheel too much, but I am reinventing the wheel. I'm inventing my own way to live. Just because if spirituality is truly an innate expression from within, then I can create my own. If wisdom is truly an innate expression from within, then I can create my own philosophy. So I was saying that the red corrects the purple. So the tools, you can fall in love with them, so you need that time to play. And then the orange corrects the red. That like, all right, so far up to the red, we escaped the animal kingdom with tools to create greater efficiency, which allowed us the time to play and be joyful. But we also want to create something just for the sake of creation, and those are like in ancient civilizations the huge structures of culture, like for the pyramids or other stuff that was totally like the Easter Island heads, stuff that made no sense as far as survival, but that is going from like the red into the orange into the ego. And then I'm also noticing these are different aspects of your personality. So when I'm in my blue mode, if I'm in survival, and this also allows me to just the same as I did with real estate, just numb myself to all the rest. I have other aspects of my being, but if I'm in pure fight or flight survival mode, I'm going to be the bluest motherfucker I could be. I will be that animal if I have to be that animal. The T's claw. That's why I did this last year. Is I was in the, well, let me get to the green and then I'll explain how I drop back down. So then the orange, so the orange is the ego. How do you correct the ego? You correct that through, I call it the other, because that's what the objectification. Ego, too much ego leads you to look at everything as an object. Now you're trying to grow that business for the sake of the business, but this is what, I think Easter Island too, they might have actually worked themselves to extinction, that society, by creating these heads. It's, you could get caught up in your works and in your ego and your projects, or even in your business. Work your business so much you lose your family, this and that. And so where do I learn about the other? And then I've applied just some science to that over this last year, thinking about it, where you have a default mode network, which is a new concept in physiology of the mind, that there's actually parts of your brain which allow you to apply a structure to reality, which is your go-to structure. And there's times in which that is turned off during spiritual, high spiritual states. I forgot what they're called. Or also during times that you're doing psychedelics. And that's why you're reframing the world, or you're getting new ideas during acid trips, mushroom trips, stuff like that. Because your normal framework of looking at the world and contextualizing it, all the basic assumptions that your mind automatically makes, these aren't conscious decisions, the way you frame your reality. But these are based off all of the information you've gotten to this point, set into a matrix of assumptions, which then is running in the background. So when that gets turned off, then your mind just kind of wanders into these new ways of perceiving reality, visually and auditorily too, where sounds, you're getting auditory hallucinations. Visual, on some of my mushroom trips, I'll see people who aren't there. I'll see this girl, she had an eye coming out of her forehead. She was, as my mind was finding the visual patterns, visual cues of, like, we're hardwired to see eyes, see mouths, because that's how we tell emotions on other people. Well, I was seeing them, we've seen computers do this, where they put facial features into places where there aren't facial features. Your mind is forcing pattern recognition into places it's not. Because my normal control mode over my mind was basically turned off. And so we do that. So I'll read this one, the yellow one. They say his identity was more complex than his reaction to the circumstances of his existence. His story transcended the temporal. He escaped the enslavement of ego through active meditation with plants and partners. He tore down the walls separating experience to become the soul who straddles all worlds. And that's something I said, some cool ass shit, when I was in the Upper East Side. I fucking Addie, we were going to go to a party. She was fucking tripped out on who knows what. Maybe she wasn't. She was just like kind of like bummed out or something. Something was going on where she like wasn't getting ready in time. I guess our communication wasn't the best. We've been working on our friendship, but we've only been really reaping the fruits of a deep connection this last year or two. This last year she's been sober, but ever since then there's always stuff that we'll have good times and then it'll just be like, oh, fucking why'd you have to do this again? Or me too. Why did I have to fucking push her away? So that night we were supposed to go to a party. And fucking, she just would not get ready. She was probably using, actually. She was locked in the bathroom. Locked in the bathroom. But anyone who knows a junkie. So I was like, fuck it, we're not going. She was like, no, we're going. I was like, no, I already decided. I dropped some acid, went to the roof. And I lived in a 5-bedroom at that time. So she was crashing with me in my bedroom. But she platonic by then. It's like, if it would have happened, it would have happened. I think once or twice I tried to like fucking climb onto her like a puppy dog, and she was like, nah, dude, if it would have happened, it would have happened. So it's like fucking family. Like, so she's crashing in my bedroom, but it's like, we're not going out that night. And so that's why I wanted to go out with her. I wanted to do normal shit more. I mean, we have since, but back then I was always pushing, like, let's just be normal fucking friends, go out, like wingman type, fucking buddy. But when you're deep into addiction, you don't have the bandwidth for that shit. It's not you're not gonna have fun. It's not what you like to do. You like to fucking use. So anyway, I went to the roof, and some dude, one of the roommate's friends, they were over and they were fucking doing blow and hanging out and doing the New York shit that young kids do. And then he was like, what's up, dude? Or I don't know, he was talking to me, and I was like, I'm just fucking tripping. He was like, what? You don't seem like you're tripping. And I was like, yeah, I try to be the soul that straddles all worlds. And that's something I've been saying for a minute. Try to be a little bit tripping when I'm sober and a little bit sober when I'm tripping. Just the soul that straddles all worlds, and I just imagine myself with my legs on both sides. And that's what love does too, I feel like with women and with love. They give you that, well, I guess that's union. That's what the art of loving was talking about. I like that metaphor and that description of love as a union. It's not a partnership. You're not partnering up as two alienated individuals who have their backs against each other facing the world outwards, because that's still lonely. It's you're actually, you're learning to not objectify. You're seeing someone as the miracle of creation, that individual. And that's what the unity that psychedelics give you, this union of all of life experience, same exact fucking union that you get in love, with, especially when you make love and then you're with each other and you're like, I'm seeing a human being for the first time as an actual, like yourself. As much as you can see another person like yourself is what the height of love is supposed to be, this union of, and that's where you get the self-sacrifice from, and all of those positive descriptions of love that people have come out of that opposite of objectification, the union of two people, the union of, they call them tree huggers for a reason. You go and hug a tree on mushrooms because you're like, this is me. This is, I remember one of the first times I took mushrooms and there's this big ass tree in the front yard. I just had so much respect for that tree. He was just doing his thing, and I was just like, you have so much to teach me. You're just like holding it down. That tree just, and when I do shrooms in nature, I learn from grass, from trees, from whatever. You just, this is life. It's not our type of life, but it's a type of life. And it has a type of consciousness. It reacts to stimuli. It's living in a completely different time frame and a different, and you just have this humility and respect where you just, there's this tree on the beach in Puerto Rico, and I just, the way it was leaning, and I was just shrooming out under the moon. My friend had been talking to me, and he was just like, I'm just going to leave you here. And then once he walked away, I look up, and the moon's right in front of me, and I'm like, just such a fucking good person. My friend, he knew I was tripping, and he talked to me, and I sat down while I was talking to him, and he was like, I think you're good. I'm going to leave you here. And then he walked off, and then like, he basically like had guided me to a really nice spot in front of the ocean with the moon right in front of me. And I didn't really realize, I think he realized what he was doing. He had done shrooms plenty of times. Whereas like, he fucking like, we were having a great conversation, but then he just gently was like, I think now this is time for you to be on your own. And I was just, I neither wanted his company nor didn't want his company. I was just kind of riding my trip. But then when he walked off, I was just like, my first thing I noticed was a moon right in front of me. I was like, fucking such a good friend. Just ease me right into the next phase of what I'm doing. And I look over to my left, and there's this tree leaning. And he's just leaning. Why is he leaning? Because the ocean wind has blown him so much during his development that he's just leaning. And we're feeling that onshore breeze, me and the tree. And I walk up to him, and I go touch him. And I'm just trying to learn from his life. To go with the flow, go with the wind. This wind that has shaped him. I'm in the tree's growth. I have seen the years of onshore breeze that have shaped this tree, which could shape me too. I'm not going to stay there as long as a tree, and I'm not going to develop a crook in my spine. But right now, feeling the breeze, the tree is very intelligent to me right now, and he's expressing this wisdom of this whole system. He's a visualization of what has been happening since the beginning of time, this whole system of wind and ocean, and it was just a beautiful night. And that's why they say it's ineffable. You're unable to put it in words. You just feel it. You're unable at your highest sense of love for another human being to put it in words. You try, and us artists and poets, we try to capture it, but we're always talking around what is beyond words, and that's why I'm using less and less words. So that's the yellow. That's what's going to correct that fucking greedy impulse to create, which is great. It's fucking, and people should develop a skill, and I think they should develop a trade. And that's one of the things I saw in Occupy Wall Street. A lot of people are superstitious about money or trades or this and that. They probably have to dig into themselves and their relationships with money and their parents. A lot of them come from college, which is an artificial system, artificial worlds. You're paying really good money to be in a bubble, basically. I've always been suspicious of that. I dabble my foot in it. I know of it. I always got a job and I always worked. I didn't feel like that was the best for my character development. But the last one, green, I knew that you have to have a time, a piece of silence. if the best wisdom is wordless, then how am I going to describe it? And I also have to make my peace with death. What system? No system has value if it doesn't allow you to enter into that transition peacefully. And that's one of my biggest faults against the belief systems of my folks, or what I see around me, is we're not dealing with death well as a society, on my family, individually. You can't have the greatest people I've seen in history face death without fear. You have to have a peace. You have to have a philosophy of life where every day I'm living it. And therefore I am both correcting every day to become the best version of myself, but also very peaceful in the path that I am. The best way I've heard that said is Alan Watts says that the acorn's a perfect acorn, sapling's a perfect sapling, the oak tree is a perfect oak tree. Each one is not trying to become the other one, and yet each one becomes the other one effortlessly. You have to have peace in the process. We're not promised today, and we don't control this system. We just participate in it. So I put, and was woven back into the fabric of life itself. Am I really going to step out and put my neck out and just talk all the crazy shit I have? Why not? What's the worst that can happen? I go right back into the fabric of life. I'm just a thread of this. We're all just fucking, I'm a human being out of billions of human beings. So insignificant, and yet each one of us, as we push out and grow our consciousness and grow what is possible, each one of us can have meaning as we step out to the edge of our organism, if we feel like that's our path. There's a lot of people who have to be holding down the center and other things. A lot of people who have to be fucking cooking back at base camp. But some of us are the scouts. Some of us go out deep into the woods, deep into the wild, come back with cool fucking ideas, stories, fruits, and gather wisdom. That's what I'm trying to do. And what's the worst that can happen? I fucking go back into what I'm going to go back into anyways, which is a second birth, which is death. Go back to doing what I was doing before I was born. And everything, and then this is something I would tell myself at my worst times in real estate. I would want to quit fucking every other month. There's always something you can do, and everything is going to be okay. So when I'm stressed out, when I started accumulating these white hairs, I'd be like, fuck, dude, I have $10,000 worth of bills, and I've made $2,000 so far this month. And I promised my parents I'd send them $1,000. Every couple months, I'd probably send them a couple hundred, $1,000 extra, just when they needed it. Friends, stuff like that. Being able to be solid by your friends is something when you're up for the first time in your life. And I'm like, there's always something I can do. So there's always another Project X. I could start the shares if I want. I have all these fucking blues I haven't qualified at purple because I thought I had a lot of orange and red in order to fucking succeed. But now those fell through. That's why you overmarket. I have more than abundance in my sales system. So it's time to get on the phone and qualify these blues. Time to fucking make some of these blues purple. Also, it's silly. It makes it more manageable when I have a system like that. Online slandering of concept truth seekers, blah, 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 Lilash, blah, blah, blah. Oh, here we go. I'll read this last thing. I have time. The last justified war was against other humanoids. We both won and lost, with our vanquished relatives surviving in our genetic makeup and our subconscious. This is the source of the instinct to reject the other that tribes are manipulated through to get them to act against their own interest. There are no true enemies of the species left except ourselves. Perhaps our original victims speak to us while we sleep, manipulating symbols to convey emotion. The language of the prehistoric, what came before, what has always still been there awaiting translation, reviewing your actions, the actual wild, the universal animator, the source of thought, what I call the barbaric, what the artist attempts to embed into form. Inspiration. Maybe this time around, we can't fight our way out. Perhaps our answers await us in dreams. That one took a lot longer than I didn't think I would do a whole hour on the last section. But it was good. It was good, Chaz. That's what happens when you drink your second cup of coffee. Cold coffee. But yeah, that was good. So, yeah, because what we're doing, the whole point of these videos is to catch up on my train of thought over my life, but really also to document how I've been feeling this last year, 2018. Specifically, I started these videos around my mom's birthday, November 4th, and I'm going to finish right before the end of the year. So that way I'm documenting how I feel end of 2018, because we all know that the words are one level of communication, but the other level of communication is how you say the words. All of this my facial expressions, my body language, my tone, my voice. So this is a photograph, an imprint of Shaz at the end of 2018.